Good afternoon from Altamont Farms. If you ask me what machine we use more than any other piece of equipment here on the farm, it is this Polaris Ranger. So I thought I'd do a quick review on this. It just turned 400 hours. It's got like 2,100 miles on it, and we use it exclusively on property, so it's just a lot of back and forth. So I'd do a quick review, what we like, what we don't like, and would we buy it again? All right, let's start with the basics, the configuration. Hours, we have 406.5 hours on this machine. We have, let's see here, we have 2,136 miles. This, by the way, this dash instrument cluster is one of the things I don't really like about this machine that much. It's you don't get everything in one view. You have to cycle through all of the different options to see voltage, temperature, everything else. Okay, let's take a quick look from the wide shot here. All right, it's a S570 SP crew cab and does not have a hard top, which is one thing that I would actually like to have on it. I did buy the soft top aftermarket for like 150 bucks, and it's been perfect. I have no complaints about it, even though I did run up against a tree with it and tore it. So probably I would like to upgrade to a hard top at some point. It has a half windshield. Came that way when I bought it, and I thought, what the heck, half windshield? But I gotta tell you, I actually really like it because it blocks the wind just where you need it, and gives you a protected space right up here on top of the dash, so you don't have to worry about everything blowing away. And because it's a half windshield, you don't have to worry about it getting dirty all the time and not being able to see through it. If I had a full windshield, I'd probably spend as much time as cleaning it as I would complaining about it. No winch. Thought I needed a winch when I bought this. Turns out I didn't. In the 2 years I've owned it, I have not had a single use case for the winch. Maybe I have, I don't know, but it's not hasn't jumps doesn't jump out at me enough to say, gee, I really wish I had a winch. And there's something to be said for not having a bunch of accessories on these Rangers, because the extra weight, one, reduces your performance, but it also is harder on your suspension. Okay, what else? Okay, let's quickly run through the things we like and we don't like about it. Let's start with wheels and tires. As you can see, I need new tires desperately on this, and I do have a set of tires in the barn. We changed them ourselves, and these flat-faced alloy wheels are a pain because you can't get a manual bead breaker on the front. I actually really like the old-style steel wheels. I know these look nicer, but again, um, I prefer having a wheel that is easier for me to change. As it is, I have to put a 2x4 on or use my excavator to break the bead. It's a crew cab. We pull people around on this. We use it to move people as well as things. And the crew cab is really nice. Seating is comfortable. Driving position is comfortable. Turning radius is lower than a two-seater, as you would expect, but that's not so much of a big deal. Bed. It has, of course, a manual dump bed, which, see if I can get it without everything falling out. I think one of the greatest strengths of these Polaris Rangers, in addition to being drop dead reliable, we've had this, as I showed you, 400 hours and 2,100 miles. Not once has it had a mechanical issue that required us to take it in for service or fix it ourselves. We do the maintenance, though. We do regular maintenance on this, and everything is very accessible by popping the bed up. Let's take a look. Let's start with the oil. Okay, oil filter is over here. I would not mind the filter location moved, because when we take the oil filter off, it pukes oil all over the rock guard and then onto the shop floor. Small thing, but I think oil filter location could be improved. The oil drain plug is under the engine through a hole in the rock guard. Transmission, same thing, through a hole in the rock guard. Oil filler cap is right up here next to the spark plug. The air filter is right here. Now, for changing the air filter, you want to pop that pin and basically send the bed completely vertical to give you a little bit more working space. But it's really easy to do, and the entire service, including the front dynamic drive, which has the drain plug there. And sorry, the drain plug is underneath the dynamic drive. The fill plug is there. The entire service takes less than an hour, and that's the first time doing it. Okay, the transmission fill plug, by the way, is back here underneath the muffler. Towing capacity. We use this a shocking amount to tow, and that's everything from the smaller boats we have to small trailers to things like this chicken tractor, which I just moved into this pasture using this tow strap on that hitch. Towing capacity is 2,000 pounds, if I recall correctly. Payload capacity is 1,000. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find, anything to complain about on those numbers. And it really does work well. It tows very comfortably. Okay, things that don't really like so much on the interior. As you can see, you have these little cubbies that are underneath the console, and they have these plastic grill guards, which actually work really well, probably a lot better than the old bungee cord style. But the sizing doesn't allow me to get a lot of things in there very easily. Like my Yeti coffee cup only fits in one location. So in the morning when I'm having a cup of coffee, I need to stash my cup, and it ends up getting thrown in there. This glove compartment is waterproof. There's a headlamp in there. I did not know that. We got power ports here, which I've not really ever used. My son does because he's on his phone constantly and he wears the battery out. There's 6 cup holders, 2 up top, which basically look like the junk drawer in any kitchen. On mine, there's 2 on the front seat. One has a can of Raid wasp spray, and then there's 2 on the back. One is permanently occupied with a can of WD-40 because you always need WD-40. Seats, there is under seat storage here. I have yet to find much of a use for this, but it's there. The body, it's all plastic. And at first you'd be like, you kind of like, oh, well, everything's plastic these days. Gotta tell you, it works well. I mean, it's a nice fit and finish. They designed it well enough to where it does not collect pockets of mud and water in the chassis, and it cleans up easily. Most importantly, does not corrode, which here in Florida is a big thing. I did sideswipe my trailer with it and broke off part of the panel, but intentionally giving me better access to the battery, so I just left it off. That's how things work sometimes. This bumper, I have used it a few times to with a tow strap to pull things out, and it's worked admirably. I've also used it to bump things, to push things, and as you can see, didn't even show a scratch for doing it. Power. In addition to my new battery access through a hole in the side panel, there's also a power block here in the front, which I have run a couple of wires in an inelegant or unelegant way up through the side here to run my sprayer controller, which is located here. I probably could have done that a little bit better, but it works, and sometimes good is good. There's a switch block up here that you can tap into on the dash, but because my sprayer controller is actually an entire control unit, not just on-off switch, I opted to do that. I kind of wish I'd pushed it over a little bit though, because I hit my head on it sometimes. Getting in and out of this thing, you don't have doors, so it's pretty easy. I wouldn't mind having a few extra inches of legroom on the front though to ease ingress and egress, but that's not a fatal flaw. The bed, one thing that I absolutely would change about this is the bed design. Now the bed is 49 inches. I think it's like 49 and 3/8 inches wide, which when I bought my 65-gallon in-bed sprayer, which is 48 inches wide, I'm like, perfect. But this bed is not really 49 inches wide because these stops for the tailgate consume that so a lot. So I think it's 45 stop to stop. And God, I wish Polaris would put these like spring load them or something to where you can push them out of the way when you need to get that extra few inches for bed clearance. That's the only thing that I really, really would change about this Ranger. Okay, what else? We talked about towing. Works really well. The suspension handles load. It's a 1,000-pound payload, and even when loaded up, it's a very comfortable ride. We spend a lot of time, on road or on light trails. We're not doing extreme off-roading or anything, anything backcountry with it. This actually never leaves our property. It's here. So, but when you get back into the south part of our land, it is a lot rougher, and this thing handles it really well. And for just pushing around from A to B all day long, I mean, as much as I'm in it, I never have a complaint about the ride. So, here's the critical point. Whenever somebody asks somebody like, well, do you like it or don't like it? Yeah, I like it. Okay, but would you buy it again? Absolutely. I would totally buy this again. In fact, we are looking for another one right now, but I need a single cab, not a crew cab. And I'd be very happy buying the same 570 model. I know Polaris is up in the power, and that's great. I'm like every other, you know, hot-blooded male. I'll take as much horsepower as you want to give me, but there is a cost that comes with that, and usually fuel economy, also durability. This 570 has proven to be exceptionally reliable. I don't want to mess with that. It's got enough power to get up and going. It has enough power for towing and any kind of other harder, more difficult activity. And it's also pretty frugal on gas. And we fill it up a few times a week. I think, an 8-gallon gas tank. By the way, that's the filler location there. So would I buy it again? Yeah, absolutely. And we do believe in buying one brand because that allows us to stock the maintenance supplies across the machine. So, the filters, oil plug, everything I could use across multiple. Also, if I need to cannibalize one for parts to take to another, I can do that. So absolutely on my shopping list. Thank you, Polaris.